Hello, everybody, and welcome to rounds 12 and 13 of the Simability V8ESC here from Long Beach. I am Tyler Newitt. I am joined by Sam. We'll see if Clyde and Pete decide to show up today, but so far, no go for them. We are coming off of rounds 10 and 11 at Road Atlanta, which saw Alex Sevillano-Yedo take race number 1. And Stephen Phillips, I believe on season debut, took race number 2 in dramatic fashion. We are in the midst of qualifying here after an NQR-dominated practice session at Long Beach. Got Stacy Boyd sitting up top at the moment. But for now, Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. A good night of V8 racing around Long Beach. I don't know why I want to say Bali, but it is Long Beach. So, yeah, expecting a good quality race today with all the walls and everything you can expect from a road course. We love the road course in the V8 supercars. This is what it's meant to be racing on. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I'm expecting a nice, good 2 races today.
Absolutely, yeah. Even though apparently not interesting enough to catch Clyde or Pete's attention, but uh, I feel like every time we go to a street course like this, we predict chaos and end up with some phenomenal racing, clean racing, because everyone in this league is so good. But of course, now I've said that, I'm sure we're going to get a massive pile up in turn 1 and have to throw a safety car. So we'll see how that goes. But as I mentioned, we're in the middle of qualifying. Time's not moving much from what was said at the start of the session. It's Stacy Boyd by a whisker over Rob Woodhouse. He's got a whisker over Greg Carr, who's got another. I I'm looking at the margin, Sam. I think there you can't fit a tenth of a second anywhere in between the top 7. So suffice to say, it's pretty close out there.
It is really close, and considering it's still at 1 minute 20, 119.2 right now in quali. that yeah, it's like super close. It's great to see how close they are all, and I'm sure they are enjoying this qualifying session.
Yeah, it's been kind of the hallmark of the season, hasn't it? Everyone, within a tight margin of each other. And as soon as we say that, Tony Klusterman is the first to dip into the 18s with an 18.932. Jumps quarter of a second clear of Stacy Boyd at the top. Tony was, I want to say, second in the practice that we had just before this. We had a few cars in the 18s. I think Bram was on top with an 18.7. But like I said, it was NQR dominated in the practice session, 1, 2, 3. And I want to say Ann Woodward was 5th or 6th. So very, very NQR heavy at the top, and Tony making the jump there right now as he pulls off. Sequin Sidman here sitting 13th at the moment, heading down the back straight at Long Beach.
Yeah, you will be relieved to know someone is going to join us, so you won't have to assume the lead commentator's role for the whole evening, Tyler.
Oh, you say that as if I'm doing a terrible job, Sam.
No, absolutely not. You're doing great, but I know it's sometimes difficult to jump in and do that while you're not supposed to. So yeah, it's pretty tough. No,
No,
you
no,
are doing a great job till now. That's good.
I was very, very prepared. I definitely didn't remember this race was today this morning. But as we've got Rob Woodhouse jumping to the top, a quarter of a tenth clear of Tony Klusterman. So once again, NQR keeping it nice and tight at the top. Simon Trendle goes 3rd, and Bram Dubois goes to 4th. So everything shifting at the top of qualifying, getting to the business end here, 9 minutes in. From what I've seen, it seems like everyone's doing one lap and reset, which is sometimes the case for these cars. At Long Beach, I feel like the lap is short enough you could probably get 2 out of it. I know the last time I was driving at Bathurst, you could get 2 pretty competitive laps out of it. But seems to be just a 1 and in for everybody, as we see Simon Trendle now sitting 3rd, trying to move a little further forward.
He is trying, but I don't see green sectors for him right now, so I'm not sure it will improve. Oh, it's an hot lap, that's why. Okay, makes sense.
Simon is currently the championship leader in the Simability Cup. He is about 100 points clear of Rob Woodhouse, who sits second, and Anthony Woodward in third. We've started factoring in those drop scores. So even though Simon has missed a round, he's still, or has now gone back to the top of the championship table with the drop scores. Behind him, it's Vincent Skilbeck, Jamie Wilson, and then me in sixth. Normally we don't read down that far, but I wanted to make sure that I still highlighted myself. In the team championships, it's NQR Europe who leads, Team Chimera and NQR North America. BSTV Esports sits fourth there. Driver of the meeting is not going to load. There it is. Anthony Woodward sits on top with 3 points, ahead of Jamie Wilson, Stephen Phillips, Rob Woodhouse, and myself, who all have 2. In the Safe Driver Award, it's Tony Kloosterman leading Rich Jameson and Rob Woodhouse there. And then the Forever Forward Award, it's Ant Woodward on top again, with 27 positions gained over the course of the season. He leads Rob Woodhouse by 2 there. So very NQR heavy at the top of the standings. Really, if not for Simon heading up the Drivers' Championship, it would be all NQR all the time.
Yeah, they're also like one of the most populated team on the grid, so it makes sense. We have like 3 drivers from NQR Europe, most of the time 2, sometimes 3 from NQR North America. So that's quite a lot of drivers when you have a 14-card grid.
Yes, certainly a big chunk of the grid, and good on them for doing that. Obviously, many teams could have a number of drivers out here, but the NQR boys always show up in force. And no, still true again today. And as we mentioned, leading qualifying at the moment, it's Tony who's jumped back on top with a really good lap, an 18.6. That clears his teammate Rob Woodhouse by about a quarter of a second again. So Tony's continued to find pace. Not surprising. I think he's been quick at Long Beach in the past. Rob and Simon sitting second and third, trying to close that gap down. But we know anything can happen in the race, especially the reverse grid race, given what we've seen so far this season, given how tight this field is and how difficult overtaking is in Long Beach anyway. You do get a couple of decent overtaking opportunities, which you might not expect for a street course. Down into turn 1 is a good shot, and where we're seeing Glenn headed here into, I want to say, turn 5. Definitely doable to complete an overtake. Same down here as you head on to the back straight. That can, if you can get a run out of the previous corner, you can send it up the inside. So definitely not impossible to pass at Long Beach. Certainly easier than some of the other street courses. But Long Beach, as you know, has those nice long straights, especially Shoreline Drive at the front. You can really get a nice run off somebody if you get a good exit out of the hairpin.
It's gonna be interesting. I don't think it's gonna be easier than Road Atlanta to pass. It will probably be even more difficult because you have the walls around yourself in a street course. But we'll see. We have talented drivers, so it should be on for a good show today.
Yeah, we certainly do. Hi to everybody watching the broadcast. Nobody checking in the chat yet, so no shout outs to give, but make sure you do drop a like if you are watching this. I know I think Sam, we just passed 1,000 subscribers. Is that what you said?
Yes, I just saw that today while setting up the broadcast. We just passed the 1,000 subscribers, so that's pretty good. Thank you all for subscribing and watching the videos. That's always good to see. We have a nice following base, and all the people are always very welcoming from the broadcast. So it's great.
Yeah, really awesome to see people tuning in. A little more movement as we're getting into the last minute of qualifying. Simon improved his time but didn't improve his position. Ant Woodward jumped up to 4th. And Bram, who we just saw have a moment there out of the hairpin, jumped up to 5th. Riding with Stephen Phillips, who I believe was not planning to attend this race but ended up being available. Our winner last time out at Road Atlanta. He was pretty quick in practice, but not able to do much better than 9th in qualifying. Of course, we mentioned how tight everything is. 9th is nothing to scoff at, certainly, for Stephen.
I don't know if Pete has joined the session yet or not, but as always, I don't have the right to put myself the message to extend the grid, so that's a bit annoying.
Oh, I don't know if I have that permission either, but I can try. No, I don't. So, well, hopefully everybody grids up.
Well, the first one is not really an issue. You still have 2 minutes to join the grid, so in the end, it doesn't really matter. Talking about the grid, we might as well run through it because people are joining.
Yeah, well, I'll see if I can blitz through it while everyone's gridded up. So, starting on pole for our sprint race today is Tony Kloosterman with a 18.6. That's a really good lap. Ahead of his NQR teammate Rob Woodhouse in 2nd. Then it's Simon Trendle, our championship leader, rolling off 3rd alongside another NQR car, Ant Woodward. Then it's yet another NQR car, Bram Dubois, in 5th, alongside Stacy Boyd, who was quick in practice and qualifying. Greg Carr in 7th, alongside Vincent Skilbeck, who I know is itching for a win. He's had a couple close calls in the last few weeks. Stephen Phillips in 9th, Nikolai Bogatayrev in 10th. Good to see Nikolai back here as well. Then it's David Burns, Rob Venn, my teammate, totally unbiased, in 12th. Got a couple more cars. Jamie Wilson, 13th. Glenn Sidman in 14th. And Rich Jameson lining up in 15th. It'll be a 10-car reverse for race number 2. So definitely drivers will want to... Drivers further back will be eyeing that 10th spot. Still waiting on a few cars to grid here, and we're getting pretty close to the end of the countdown. So hopefully they join up.
Yeah, Peter
should be all good on countdown because I've just extended it by 2 minutes.
Okay. Hello, Pete. Welcome to the booth.
Yeah, welcome to the madness, which is BSTV broadcasts. Evening, everybody, and I'm hoping for an absolutely splendid evening's racing. Who's top boy? Top boy is Tony Kloosterman. What's going on there then?
Well, it was a NQR dominated practice and qualifying. I think they grabbed top 3 in practice and 3 of the top 4 in qualifying. But yeah, it's a pretty quick lap from Tony. But of course, Pete, have to ask which wall around here is your favorite. Obviously, you've been in contact with all of them. So.
Yes, I have. It's a difficult decision. I think my favourite is probably the left-hand wall on the exit of the hairpin. I seem to enjoy that one quite a lot. I revisit it on regular occasions as I understeer through that hairpin corner. I do love this track though. It's a fantastic addition to the iRacing plethora of tracks that we've got now. And this should be a very, very exciting race.
Yes, it should. Yeah, and good to have street circuits, and I know we're getting Adelaide at some point in the next decade. So hopefully, another street circuit to add to the list. Which, as Sam and I were saying, we just love driving these cars around street courses. So lights are coming up.
Yeah, we've gone.
Looks like a good jump. Stephen Phillips, I think, maybe slow going off the back, but everyone out front, including Simon, unexpectedly, with a really good run, and they're 2x2 heading down into turn 1, which can be dangerous.
Yeah, looks like Tony's got it sorted at the very, very front. Stephen Phillips has gathered himself together after bogging down on the start. NQR getting in each other's way a few cars back. That was Ant Woodward and Bram Dubois.
Yeah, a bit of bumping and grinding in the fountain, which is easy to do as everything accordions up. But as we were saying, Sam, it's you expect chaos here at Long Beach, but really this grid is so capable that everyone made it through completely unscathed.
Yeah, it's thanks to the drivers. They're doing a good job for now. So I just called the safety car for the next lap. But they're pretty safe overall. So yeah, we should have a good race, and I'm not expecting too much trouble, even if we are surrounded by wolves.
Yeah, it's David Burns. He's a new name to me. I think anyway. He's doing well at the moment, making his way forward ever so slightly. He jumped Stephen Phillips off the start. Simon Trendle there, stalking the two in first and second. Not making inroads on Bob Woodhouse just yet.
Yeah, as we see Rich Jameson going for a move on Rob Venn here, and should get it done. He's got a nice run down Shoreline Drive, but yeah, the NQR cars seemed pretty darn quick.
I
Called
think I
it.
just cursed David Burns. Oh, I feel bad now.
Yeah, it looked like Stephen Phillips trying a move into turn one, and it's easy to do that. That tire bundle just sticks out, and you run out of room. As I think Rob was letting Rich Jameson by there.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, definitely. Slotted himself back in ahead of David Burns. Stephen Phillips has reset to the pits. Meanwhile, in a different race, the top three are getting away a bit.
Yeah, they are. Here we get a replay. Stephen Phillips had a look into turn one. Oh yeah, I think little too tight on entry there, and I think Rob Venn did almost a similar thing in back behind.
Yeah, looks like it. I mean, turn one is the overtaking opportunity on the track, really, isn't it? It's the prime one, but yeah, I don't think that was a done deal.
Yeah, good of Rob to redress that, given the contact there, and I think Stephen reset to the pits, so not really given an opportunity there, as both he and David Burns have gone to the pit lane. Yeah, it is one of the key overtaking spots, but you really have to be sure that you can make the corner. Oh, as Vince is in the tire bundle at the fountain, what happened there?
I don't know, but his right rear is up in the air. I think there's rear suspension or rear axle damage on that Commodore Holden.
Oh, it was an NQR car in the wall.
Oh, right. I think that was just concertinaing up of the entire field there.
Yes, it was. And we saw it on lap 1 too, not that dramatically, but yeah, it looked like Bram got the wall exiting turn 1 and was slow, and that seemed to just stack everybody up, and Vincent, unfortunately, Vincent's been unlucky quite a bit lately and was unlucky there. Yeah, that's
the cause. That's the root cause. An NQR car losing control into turn 1 and stacking everybody up. Nikolai,
yeah, it's easily
back in the field. Love it.
It is great to see Nikolai back. It's easily done what Bram did. You mentioned turn 1. It's one of the places where you can really gain time if you push the exit. But if you push it just a little too hard, you catch the end of that tire bundle that sticks out, and it snaps you into the wall just like it did Bram. So if you're really pushing for time, which obviously Bram was, I think he was tucked in behind Ant Woodward, his teammate. That is a place that you can find time, but a place that can go wrong too, as we jump back to the lead group.
Yeah, in the lead group, Tony Klisterman just set the fastest lap of the race of anybody, which is a 1:19.54. Over a tenth faster than slightly under a tenth faster than the next best car, which is Simon Trendle. If I was Bob Woodhouse, the meat in this sandwich, I'd be a little bit worried.
Yeah, although it looks like Bob's got a run on Tony. Not sure if Tony had some trouble in the first sector here. He was a little bit slow, so definitely no one here seems to have a clear upper hand in this group, which it makes for an exciting battle here. But I don't know how anyone's going to manage to get a run and get past. Tony got a really good exit there that time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't like Tony's entrance into that hairpin. It's very, very shallow. How is he ever going to turn the car? And then he, like you just said, turned it and just squirted off down the road. That was pretty impressive.
There's about 1,500 different ways to take the to take the hairpin here at Long Beach, and the ones that work are usually the ones that get you a good run off, which often means tightening up the exit. I know some people keep it really tight in both ends. Oh, as we've got more trouble for Bram. Not sure if that was
a let go, right?
It certainly looked like it. I don't know if maybe he got the wall in turn one again and was letting his teammates through, but yeah, that was definitely Bram letting them through. But yeah, whatever you do in the hairpin, however you take the entrance, you just got to make sure you can get it squared up on exit, which Tony obviously did, and now Rob's back in the clutches of Simon.
Yeah, Simon's got the tractor beam out, and not able to do anything. He's very good in the first sector and a half, and then kind of falls astern through all this section on the back straight and through this twisty bit. Let's see if he can get a decent launch out of this corner. He's got room to play with on the left-hand side there, not too much though, in order to get a better run off the corner, because he's dropping time to Bob in front of him there.
Yeah, it always spreads out a bit as you head onto the front straight, unless someone makes a mistake. But I mean, we know Simon. He certainly, obviously, you can't afford to wait around too much in these sprint races, but given how tight this group is, you imagine he's doing a little bit of waiting for opportunity to strike rather than forcing an opportunity.
Yeah, completely. And just looking at the season standings, I don't know whether you've already been through that or not, but Simon Trendle leads the championship by 99 points. And then Bob Woodhouse is second with Ant Woodward in third. We don't find Tony Clewiston in the standings till 7th place, but he's bossing this race at the moment.
Yeah, and obviously we've seen, I think it was a pretty tough start to the season for Tony with incidents and some bad luck. So that certainly hasn't helped his championship cause. But yeah, as we did go through, Simon has honestly, it seems as though Simon has fallen back a little bit as the season has gone on. He was so dominant the first few rounds. He got a good run out there, and Bob was a bit held up by his teammates. So this might be an opportunity for Simon into turn one here.
Yeah. And yourself, you're a bit laid up at the moment, right?
Yes, unfortunately, my toe is still a bit more purple than it should be, which is obviously 0 amount purple. So yes, I am giving it a rest. Hopefully, I can be back in for the next round, but we'll see here.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm just looking at where you are. You're in 6th place in the championship, or you were before this round commenced. As we look back at Bram de Bois closing in now on the back of, is that Greg Carr?
I believe that's Nikolai.
Oh, that's Nikolai. Sorry.
In the middle there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg Carr leading that group. So it's 3 more NQR cars in a bunch here.
Yeah, they've definitely got it sorted out, haven't they? Nikolai, not with us for quite a long time, but he's jumped back in the car with great aplomb, and it's almost like he's not been out of it. It's pretty good, this 7th place.
Well, it certainly helps to have 60 different teammates who all know their way around this car and can get you back up to speed.
Yeah, was that another let go there? Because that was,
I believe that was David Burns, who was a lap down, or Rich Jamison, excuse me, who was a lap down.
Yeah. So another opportunity for him to recover the situation in the next of tonight's races. David Burns there making his way through. 3rd off last at the minute. And then this is where the action is. Oh dear. Bob Woodhouse got that not waterfall, fountain corner very, very wrong at that point.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, Tony cannot seem to get away here, and it's costing Rob, unfortunately, because Rob definitely seems to have a little more consistent pace, but he keeps getting to the back of Tony. Then Tony makes a mistake, which checks Bob up, and then Simon is ready to capitalize on it. So the NQR...
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, the NQR cars, I think, are pretty similar pace here, but Tony making life difficult for his teammate as Simon thinks better of that one. That's a tough pass to pull off unless you've got real overspeed.
That one's brutal. I was going to say that Simon looks like he's set his car up for tight turns, His Holden Commodore turns very, very sharply. It's not very good out of the corners. You can see that his launch isn't brilliant, and he's not got the top end speed. So I think he's got quite a lot of downforce on that Holden. You can see how far he's fallen astern of Bob now. But watch what happens through all the tight turns. His car is very dynamic. It turns very, very sharply. It's very, very agile. I don't know whether he can translate that into an overtake, though.
It's tough to say. I mean, I think he needs a mistake in front. I think for any of these drivers to... Whoa! Speaking of mistakes.
That was good. That was good. Save the century. That was good.
That was...
focusing.
more opposite lock than you'd like, I'd say.
Yeah, that was cool. That's why we turn up there, right? To see things like that. Right, so into what is this? I have no idea what lap we're on.
Lap number 9. We've got just past halfway in the race. About 8 minutes to go here.
I'm used to having all the graphics on my screen, so it's a bit strange being devoid of certain information. But yeah, we're into lap 9. We've got 8 minutes to go. You were right what you said before. You've not got much time in these sprint races to make something happen, and these V8s they kind of draw you in, don't they, and then spit you out if you make any mistakes. They're brutal.
No, it's I think I said this on the last broadcast, but I was very skeptical going into the season because, as you know, Pete, I'm a strategy-minded person. I was not sure how the shorter races were going to fare, but they have been so much fun because it just amps up the energy right away, and everyone is aware of it and is racing like it. But this group is so capable and dynamic that it hasn't resulted in a ton of chaos. It has just resulted in a lot of action.
Yeah, and if we went for a season 16, then I think we'd be looking to keep the sprint race at this length, and then maybe extend the feature race by a few minutes, just to make it a little bit more tactical and strategic, if that makes sense. Slightly longer race might mean that there's more opportunity for a wider pit stop window, or even a narrower one. Who knows? There's lots of options to play with, isn't there?
Yeah, it's going to be something to look at in race 2. But I think what we've seen is that it has actually brought the shorter races have actually brought tires as a factor into the decision on when to pit. I think a lot of times you've had in the that was very deep for Simon in turn number 1, and that's cost him potentially I think a chance at this one. He's he's clearly overheated his tires there.
Yeah, he's on jello now, isn't he? He's just sliding across the track at his own leisure. Further back though, we've got Greg Carr here trying to chase down Stacey Boyd, but with Nikolai looking like he's never been out of a V8, and tracking him down quite handily. Teammate on teammate, obviously. Even though the paint schemes are different, they are in the same team.
Yeah, it shows you Nikolai's been out a while because he's still got last year's paint on there. But
yeah, we'll forgive him for that.
Yeah, but this group, he's been following Greg pretty closely for a while now. But they've, as you mentioned, Pete, started to close in on Stacey here, and running out of time. That is the thing with these races. They're very quickly going to find themselves without an opportunity to make a move. So they really need to take the opportunities while they can. But definitely seems like they've got a little pace in hand over Stacey here as things are winding down.
Yeah, and I think Stephen Phillips has had a moment again at some point recently as well, because he's been back in the pits and out again. Trying to see who else is moving on. Woodward seems to have found himself a bit of stale air, as it were. He's in no man's land at the minute between Simon Trundle and Stacey Boyd. You can see the timing screen just there for you folks. Here he is. No friends to play with right now. Maybe he's happy about that. I don't know. You can see Simon Trundle in the distance, moving away from him again.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, Pete. We saw Vince Skilbeck have that incident in the fountain, but it's actually put him in the pole position for race number 2 if nothing else changes in front of him. So he's not really got anyone to race, and he's kind of been holding this 5 seconds back of Jamie Wilson, but you wonder if he's pretty content here. You know, the points for grabbing an extra spot are not really comparable to the points for grabbing a win in race number 2. So he might be happy here just to ride it out towards the end of this one and start up front for the second race.
Yeah, there's a grey cloud on every silver lining, really, isn't there? You end up massively out of position through an incident, but on reverse pole. So, you know, be grateful for what you receive.
Yeah, as we see this group, they've really gotten a hold of Stacy now, and they're at the point where any little mistake and Greg is going to be ready to pounce here. So it'll be interesting to see if Stacy can keep a handle on it here. You know, it's one of those tracks that just invites mistakes because it invites you to push, and as soon as you push, you find yourself pushing into a concrete wall.
Yeah, and there's plenty of those around. I do like you said before, I do like these street circuits. It stops people exceeding the track limits in a way that they would do normally on somewhere like Phillip Island or somewhere like that, because exceeding the track limits means you're dead, basically, and you're out. It very much focuses the drivers, and when they're driving these sort of brutal machines that are massively unforgiving, that have no assists like in other cars on the service, it keeps you honest as a driver. It's good. I like it.
Yeah, as we watch the top two navigate the hairpin again, it's really interesting. Tony's line, which you brought up earlier, is I'm not sure it's the fastest way around there, but what it does is it compromises Rob's line, so he can't get a run out of the corner. And Tony, you know, a little slow through turn 1 there, and suddenly Rob is right on him.
Yeah, I mean, years of watching V8s for us, and probably some of the people watching on the stream, we notice little things like that. Just someone taking the wrong line into turn 1. That gap reducing behind them very, very quickly, and Bob maybe sniffing an opportunity here to elbow his team boss out of position. You'd be a brave boy, though, wouldn't you? To take out your boss. What's going on there? You know, no, after you, sir, after you.
I don't think there will be any elbowing out of position, but certainly, as has been the phrase of the day, is capitalizing on mistakes, and I think. He is ready and waiting for Tony to have a slip up and just continuing to apply the pressure, which is oftentimes what leads to the overtakes. And speaking of, deep in turn 1 or deep in the hairpin goes Tony, and Bob's going to have a run into 1 here.
Yeah, it looks like front tires are leaving Tony Kloosterman. He's got a minute left. Are we on last lap, Sam, or not quite yet? I can't really figure it out.
Looking at the time, it's going to be very tight. I didn't see a flag waving, but...
No, I didn't either.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to watch for the flag, but I missed the start-finish line.
I did the same thing. I think this might be last lap. I don't know. We'll soon find out anyway. But yeah, Bob was all over Tony like a bad rash just a minute ago. But Tony's got that acceleration out of the corners down to a T. What are we watching here?
Yeah, I was trying to watch the start finish line, but it was already passed.
Yeah. That was a big wiggle from Rob there. They're no! Into the wall, and Simon's gonna go through.
Bob's gonna be absolutely kicking himself.
Oh, he's certainly pushing like it's the last lap, and yeah, looking at the time, I think they are going to finish this time around. He's not done yet. He's having a look at Simon here.
He's I mean, that won't have done him any damage, really. It was a side hit, which is okay. Oh, this is going to be close. This is going to be a drag race to the line, if this is the last lap. I don't even know.
It is. It's trickier.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Oh, right. And some close racing further back here with Nikolai really on the tail of Greg Carr there. And the same for Jamie Wilson on the back of Bram Dubois.
And it will be Vincent Skilbeck who lines up on pole for race number 2. Rob Venn just missing out in 11th.
And Vincent's returned back to his multicoloured paint as opposed to the gold one he was running at the start of the season. Just a couple more cars to cross the line. Glenn Sidman of Simability, the series sponsor, making his way to the finish line. Third off last, Rich Jamison or Jameson, some way back down the road at the minute as David crosses the line.
Yeah, I believe Rich was a lap down. I think he's finished already. So,
Yep.
Okay, yeah, good call. Good call. Right, I'll run through the finishing order for that first race. So Tony Cleaston was your race winner for Never Quit Racing North America in round 12 at Long Beach here for the Simability V8ESC Season 15. First of tonight's races. Simon Trendle finished second for Team Chimera, and rounding out the podium was Bob Woodhouse for NQR Europe. Fourth was his teammate Ant Woodward. In a little bit of no man's land, but he might have been happy about that. He'd have been able to call some corners for himself and get his eye in, ready for this feature race that's coming. Stacey Boyd finished in 5th for Nova Motorsports, with Greg Carr in 6th for Never Quit Racing North America. A great welcome back to Nikolai Bogotarev in 7th, who's racing for the Never Quit Racing Simability team. And then Bram Dubois in 8th place for NQR Europe, with Jamie Wilson in 9th for Team Chimera. Vincent Skilbeck in 10th for Wheelie Bins, Mayhem Republic. Rob Venn finished 11th for BSTV Esports, and Glenn Sidman in 12th for Simability. David Burns in 13th. 14th was Rich Jameson for Rich Jameson Racing. And Stephen Phillips, 15th, ended up being classified with 6 laps down. A couple of visits to the pits for him, and hoping for better fortunes in the second of tonight's races. So that was it was an event-filled race, if nothing else, Tyler. It was. How much are you wanting to actually be on the track racing this circuit?
Yeah, I'm pretty desperate. It's one of my favorite tracks, and
yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I just love driving these cars around a street course, and I find they really suit my particular driving style. And Long Beach in general is just a great track. It's about as dynamic a street course as you get. There's such a wide variety of corner speeds that you don't see a lot in street courses. Obviously Bathurst you do, but
well, yeah.
Yeah. but here it's it's a pretty whoa. Sorry. As I think that was is that Stacey going for a slide? Yeah.
He did it very well, I have to say. It's a great.
He did, yes.
If you're gonna hit the wall, hit it like that. It's Long Beach has some very, very key features, doesn't it? It's got the very fast, is it Sunset Boulevard? I can't remember what the name of the big not straight is.
Shoreline Drive.
Shoreline, yeah, thank you. And then you've got the hairpin that leads into it. It's quite it is a fairly unique combination, because I can't think of another track that has such a tight, and it is really tight, that hairpin, bend that leads onto the start-finish straight on any track. CTMP maybe, but that's not as sharp as the Long Beach hairpin.
There's definitely nothing sharper than the Long Beach hairpin, at least in top-level racing, because there's a very famous story of the first time, I think it was the American Le Mans Series, went to Long Beach as a support race for the IndyCar race, and the Audi R8s, which had been dominant, couldn't make the corner with the steering rack they had in the car.
Oh, really?
So they had to put in an entirely different steering rack just for Long Beach, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to make the hairpin.
That's unbelievable. I didn't know any of that. That's fantastic information. Thank you. I mean, you basically stopped on that apex, aren't you? There's not much momentum carrying you forward, and in some cars, you don't. It's almost like you've just described. You almost don't have the steering rack to get you turned. You kind of got to put a bit of gas into it just to rotate the car a little. And front-wheel drive cars struggle so much getting around there. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, certainly. It's yeah, I think that's what part of what I like about this track is there are a lot of those corners where you almost have to give it a bit of gas or let the car kind of do the turning itself and turn it on the pedals, as they say, instead of turning it with the steering wheel.
Well, I struggle with the wheel, so I'm not going to bother with the pedals. Notorious for hitting walls and crashing. Here's Rob Venn out doing some practice lappage. Is that the previous paint, or is this the new paint?
This is the throwback paint that we've been running since Sandown.
Yeah, I like this a lot. I think this is excellent.
Yeah, I think we're going to keep it.
Yeah, this is
and maybe put it on some other cars too.
Yeah, this is your own creation, this one, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they all are.
Brilliant.
But we went with the throwback for Sandown. It sounded like people were doing a throwback weekend, so stuck with the old paint, and I guess in a way Nikolai's doing a throwback weekend of his own here in Long Beach with his paint.
However inadvertent that may be. I like his old red and white paints. I like them. They stood out from the crowd quite a lot. They were good.
You certainly knew when you were racing Nikolai.
He's one of our biggest success stories, and I don't know whether a lot of the people watching realise that, because a bit like Crash Jackson, he was a bit crashy when he first started with us. And look at him now. He drives clean races so often, and he's honed his clean driving skills to perfection, and it's not impeded his progress up the table either, because he finishes well now. It's very, very healthy racing from Nikolai Bogatyrov.
I think this whole league is full of it's either full of people who have that story, or it's full of people who haven't had the chance to have that yet.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, though, I mean, if you look at the people in this field, with the exception of maybe Tony, who's been racing these cars for I think about 600 years, if you look at the field here, it's full of people who started out, as complete novices and didn't know the car and have stuck with it and now are. I mean, we talk about how close the field is, but I don't think people really appreciate that, how difficult this car is to drive. It is monumental that, we can have a top 10 separated by less than a second. I mean, it's just absolutely, it's mind blowing how well people have taken to this car. And it really just kind of shows that the ones who stick with it really get a lot out of it.
Yeah, absolutely that. And, I remember coming to V8s after driving the old Delara and thinking, what the hell is this? I've just gone from maximum downforce to nothing at all in terms of downforce. I did wonder about the sensibility of the decision that I'd made, but everybody around me, which was Clyde and Gary and a few others at the time, and Dave Johnson, if you remember him, and Stephen Phillips, he's one of them. They were like, just stick with it. You've got people to race with, because I had poor old Bill Switzer racing back where I was, and yeah, it wasn't just a baptism of fire. It was a baptism of, what the hell is this thing? I can't even drive it in a straight line, because sometimes you only need to twitch the steering wheel a little bit, and it decides to kind of betray you on track, doesn't it? It wants to fire you off into the nearest wall or green area, and sometimes it feels a bit inexplicable. I think the car's a little bit better these days, though. It's a bit more predictable, right?
It is, to an extent. I mean, it'll still bite you if you push too hard, and or if you don't push hard enough. I only started racing these when the new cars came into effect, which sounds funny because the new cars have been outdated for about 3 years now. But I never really got involved when it was still the old Falcon and Commodore.
Well, we only had the Falcon for quite a long time. That was the only car we could drive. It was, and everything around it got updated, and there was no replacement Falcon, as it were. And then all of a sudden we got these. We got brilliant Mustangs and Commodore Holden Commodores at the time, and then they've been updated since. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I think these cars are kind of the epitome of the classic idiom of they're definitely pretty straightforward to drive, and incredibly difficult to drive fast.
Yeah.
And I know some people would probably argue with the point of them being straightforward to drive, but you know, it could be because I've been driving them for years and years now. But
Yeah. But what you're saying is right. You've not got a plethora of tools, have you? In inverted commas, you've not got weight jackers. You've not got ABS. You've not got traction control. These things are just raw. So if you wanted to get into like a normally aspirated car, probably or one with a turbo, let's say, and drive it, these are the closest thing you're gonna get, because there's no massive technology involved, is there? There's no aids to this car. It's just a beast.
yeah, it's throttle and brake, and you can mess with the roll bars, although I never do. I don't mean to give away my secrets, because I know there are people who who like to fiddle with the roll bars as they drive, but I'm very much a set and forget person.
Right, I'll run through the field scene as you did the first one. I've just extended gridding. So we should be good to go. Vincent Skillbeck, as we noted in the first race, will start as your pole man for Wheelie Bins Mayhem Republic in the second race tonight. Jamie Wilson will go off on the front row next to him for Team Chimera. Third will be Bram Dubois for NQR Europe. Nikolai Bogratarov off fourth. For Simability, Greg Carr off fifth for NQR North America. Stacey Boyd off sixth for Nova Motorsports, with Ant Woodward off seventh on for NQR Europe. His teammate will be right next to him. That'll be interesting to see which one takes out which one. Bob Woodhouse in eighth. Simon Trendle will set off in ninth place for Team Chimera with Tony Klusterman, your race one winner. His punishment for winning the first race is to start 10th and have to make his way forward for NQR North America. 11th will be Rob Venn for BSTV Esports. Glenn Sidman will go off 12th for Simability. David Burns will go off 13th for Scotland, apparently, according to that. Welcome, David Burns. And then Rich Jameson off 14th for Rich Jameson Racing. Stephen Phillips will bring up the rear of the field in 15th for Dashhound Racing. And we hope those Dashhounds are in full bark for this feature race tonight, which will give us a good amount of entertainment, I am certain. Hopefully everybody realizes what the situation is, and they'll go at it a little bit more carefully than they would ordinarily in a sprint race.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. Like I mentioned, with the shorter races, you get, you know, I think before there was kind of like, there was one strategy that worked. It was usually the undercut. But what we've seen this year is that it depends on the driver and it depends on the track. But you can make an overcut work if you've got the setup for it. So I'll be really interested to see how this all shapes out. But I think Vincent's going to be pretty tough from the front.
Yeah, he's a Scops driver. He should know his way around Long Beach. And we are already going, so I'm going to stop my sentence. Ooh, look at Nikolai go!
It was two classic Chimera starts from Jamie and Simon, who are both dropping like rocks.
Yeah. They like the challenge. That's what it is. They like to make it. Oh my God, 4 wide. What?
I think Greg might have. No, he made it. Wow, I cannot believe he made that corner.
Good God above. That's unreal. Nikolai, a bit of a cork in a bottle there. Oh no, he wasn't. It was the car in front of him. Who is that? Greg.
Oh, I hear crunching.
Oh, I hear crunching as well.
Oh, and more.
Oh, Vincent's been ejected. I don't know who that was that I blinked at the interesting point.
Well, I saw I saw Vince making a move on Greg. I think that was the first crunching. And then it was Nikolai who got into the right rear of Vince. So a bit of an NQR sandwich beat and bang for Vince there. But yeah, it's settled back into an NQR 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I think Greg Carr has damage. Oh no, it might not be Greg Carr. Oh, actually,
I think both Greg and Nikolai have a little bit of damage. Yeah.
So Vincent finds himself at the back. with everything to do at the moment. He's not that far off the back of the pack, which is, I don't know, is that a good thing? It has to be a good thing, doesn't it? I'm sure he'd want to be further forward, but here goes Bram de Bois.
Well, the good news for Vince is there's certainly an opportunity for more chaos in this race.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I'm sure lots of that will come back to him. You can see him there in the distance.
Oh, speaking of,
is that Jamie Wilson? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Here we go. Replay.
That's Jamie and I think Glenn Sidman.
Jamie's on his own at the minute, and then Glenn.
Oh, yeah. It was Tony.
Oh, it was Tony. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh,
and then Vin. Oh, my goodness.
I missed that the first time. Good grief. I think Jamie was doing a Control-Alt-Delete on his Holden Commodore there.
Yeah, here's a replay. So it was Vince to the inside of Greg, and he was alongside there. And then, yeah. Ooh.
That was maybe an... Oh, and he collected a bit of Simon Trundle along the way there as well.
Yeah, that's a tough one to...
I don't know how you pick the bones out of that. I don't think there was anybody necessarily to blame. I think Vincent turned right and Nikolai was just there, you know, doing his thing.
Yeah, generally, you know, I mean, you have a spotter in these races, so it's tough to fully pin it on Nikolai, but yeah, he certainly was perhaps a little overly ambitious.
Right, so this is Stacey Boyd, who finds himself in a monumentally impressive 6th place right now, chasing down Bob Woodhouse, who finished 2nd in the first of tonight's races. That's right, isn't it? Yeah, he finished. Yeah, he did. No, he finished 3rd in the end, didn't he? No, he didn't.
Yes. Yeah, he had the mistake on the last lap.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Let Simon through. Oh, as we've got David Burns in strife, I think he was dropping down the order there.
Yeah, and Glenn Sidman.
Oh, and yeah, Glenn's gone for a spin. I don't know if that was the two of them together, but
maybe we'll have to see what. Oh, here we go. This might be it. Well, they're nowhere near each other, so I think these are independent. Oh, and round we go.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, that's a good cat. Oh,
synchronized spinning.
Yeah. Oh, the second one was really unfortunate because he was facing the wrong way. Glenn Sidman. It's easily done though, isn't it? That spooled rear differential just lets go at times and sends you round.
Yeah, and you're so off balance in that corner anyway because the camber falls away. It's actually an off-cambered corner slightly.
Well,
so
yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So it's really easy to light up the inside rear, which is easy enough in these cars anyway. Rich Jameson, I think Vince has just gone through on him. Rich trying to get back by, but not going to happen into turn 1.
No, this is a Vincent Skilbeck recovery drive now, isn't it? He has how much time in front of him? 3 seconds in front of him, call it, to the next car. Ooh, as Rich Jameson gets into the wall. It's so easy to over-push the car, isn't it, Tyler? It draws you in.
It does, and it's one of the interesting facets of driving this car where it oftentimes the fastest way around is to be slightly under the limit, but it's very difficult when you're racing to train your brain to do that, and you start to lose time and you think, well, the only way to make up time is to push and push and push, and the more you push, the less it rewards you, honestly. And that's I think what we're seeing a little bit here is just people pushing a little harder than the car can handle.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Bob Woodhouse has got quite a lot of damage on the front of that car. Nikolai Bogatyrev, you can see he's got damage front left. So has Greg Carr there, who he's chasing down. Lots of damage on the front left.
Yeah, that'll be, I believe, from the incident with Vince's. Oh, that was...
No. That was Stacey on the inside.
Don't back up, don't back up.
Oh, yeah, don't reverse.
You can drive through the fountain greenery, which is good for Ant there.
Yeah.
So it was Rob making the move on Ant, and he had to hit the brakes in the middle of the corner.
That's net code. I could see it there.
Well, I think that was one of those that was going to be a collision anyway, and netcode just made it happen a little sooner.
Very, very true, actually. Yeah, well called. Yeah. Well, as soon as I sprinted back from the pub in order to join this broadcast, Pete needs to go and have a wee, so he'll be back very shortly.
Okay. Well, Sam, the strange thing in all this is that our front runners in race number 1 are nowhere to be seen in race number 2. I mean, Rob Woodhouse has moved up nicely to 4th, but Simon, we saw the incident with Tony where he got into the wall. I'm not sure we saw anything in particular with Simon, but he's still mired back in 9th place.
I'm trying to find out if something happened to Simon, but I don't see anything showing up.
Yeah,
So,
it could just have been getting stuck behind one of those incidents in front of him, maybe having to check
Most
up
likely,
and losing
yes.
track position that way. So we've got a battle for 6th here, Rob Venn and Stephen Phillips. I talked to Rob before the race. He was feeling like he wasn't really sure where he was losing time, just maybe a little trouble on braking. But Stephen obviously started very last on the grid after he didn't finish race number 1, so he's applying the pressure here to Rob. It's really interesting the different lines you can take into a lot of these corners, but that one in particular, because there's a lot of drivers who like to really swing out wide and then have kind of that late move back to the left, but some of them, like Rob, like to get over to the left as soon as possible so the car is nice and settled before you begin turning into the corner. So it's really, it's kind of the highlight of this car, and how there's so many different driving styles that just kind of work as far as you know, making this car go fast, as we see Tony diving for the pits here, as is Ant Woodward. So I'm imagining the pit window is just open. I don't think they had bad enough damage that this is a pit for repairs, but they will obviously take their fast repairs as they stop here.
Yeah, that does put them at the back of the queue, of course. Well, that shouldn't be an issue for them. It does mean that if any of the slightly slower drivers hold out for a lot longer, they will become obstacles to them. That's the only risk with pitting early, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And with a track this short, there is a chance that the leaders will circle back around. But it looks like they're just coming out of the pits now. So should be clear of the leaders. Hi to Carl Hardy in the chat. He's asking why I'm not racing. Carl, it's because I have decidedly too many bones in my foot. And I'm waiting to have the normal amount again.
Yeah, chat's quite quiet tonight, so join us, folks, and ask us some ridiculous questions. If you've ever seen a BSTV broadcast before, then everything is within the limits, because we've had some strange conversations over the years. Stephen Phillips here, tracking down Rob Venn, showing himself in the mirrors, and we've seen this end in tears a few times tonight, but these two have sorted themselves out nicely, Tyler.
Yeah, Rob left him just about the smallest amount of room you can get away with into turn 1, which, in fairness, is about how much room you can leave and still make the corner. So,
Yeah.
Good of Stephen to take a little bit of a tighter line over the curb there and not have further incident. But yeah, I think both of these guys are running a little higher than they might have expected early on in this race. But we know that incidents happen, and it's definitely possible to move yourself forward by just keeping a clean car. And certainly Rob looks like his car is remarkably clean. We know he had that incident earlier on in turn 1, but otherwise it looks pretty tip-top shape.
Yeah, it's pretty immaculate at the minute. I'm just going to have a look at the Safe Driver Award for season 15. It's the Bill Switzer.
Oh, we got the first of our front runners, Pete. While you're doing that,
Yeah.
The first of our front runners to pit is Nikolai Bogatayrev.
Oh, yeah.
So all NQR cars who have stopped so far, we saw Ant Woodward and Tony Klusterman in already.
Yeah. And Jamie Wilson's car here looks like it's already been into a car crusher, and they rejected it for being too broken, and put it on the track. Yay! Right, where is who's top of this Safe Driver Awards? Tony Klusterman is top of the Safe Driver Awards, with Rich Jameson and Bob Woodhouse rounding out the top 3. Simon Trendle and Jamie Wilson from Team Chimera make up the top 5. Rob Venn is 14th in that at the moment, but looking at the state of his car, might move up because there's not that many cars on the track that don't have damage.
Yeah, I do wonder if some of that is Rob has missed quite a few races, so he might not have hit the
Oh yeah, let's have a look
the
at
number of laps needed for that to count. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's the case.
Oh
but...
no, he's got 2,385 turns under his belt, and the leader's on 3,900, so he's done plenty of laps.
Yeah, but if you look at the incidents per turn, Rob is actually pretty close to the top. It's just
oh, he is. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I think Sam said 3,000 turns is the minimum, something like that.
9 races.
So, okay. Sorry.
9 races.
9 races is the minimum. Okay, so Rob will be there soon enough, and yeah, once he does, the only drivers ahead of him are not in the race today, including me.
True.
So
yeah.
yeah, so I expect Rob to be near the top of that pretty soon. As this battle has just gone on and on, I think Steven is clearly a little bit faster, but Rob is definitely quick enough to hold his own and to hold Steven behind him.
Yeah, and that's all you need, isn't it? You just need to be fast enough just to stay ahead, just to annoy the hell out of the person behind you, and position your car in such a way that even if they pull alongside you, show their nose, all that business. That as the road goes around, maybe he was right on the limit. I'm not sure, but there's no damage.
Don't back up there.
Don't back up there. Just go forward. Thank you.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. And he's going to come under pressure immediately here from David Burns.
Yeah, that certainly won't help his Safe Driver Award fight, but
no, he's going to pick up 2 for that, isn't he? Lost of control.
Yeah, that's another one of those off-cambered corners, like the one before it. The road just falls away on exit, and if you're not careful, it's really easy to spin up a wheel, especially, we're 13 minutes into this race, so the tires are definitely past their peak there for Rob.
Yeah, and he just locked up the fronts going into the hairpin, so I think his tyres are quite hot. It might have been the opportune moment there to box the car, get a new set of shoes on it, get yourself your fuel, and make your way on.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, if you're not caught up behind someone, it's oftentimes better to stay out a little longer.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, you do get a 1 or 2 lap benefit from the new tires, but if you've got pace in hand, you can kind of do a quick overcut on somebody and pit a lap later, and kind of maintain that. And that's, I think, I never got to finish this point earlier, but with the shorter races, what it means in this feature race is, you're not going to get to that second cliff of the tires. They've got a first fall off point, and then it kind of plateaus for a while, and there's a secondary cliff where it really drops off. But in the feature race, it's short enough that you never really hit that second cliff, so you can really push the tires hard in both of your stints, as we see more pit stops from NQR cars nearing the halfway point of this race, and that's going to give the lead to Stacey Boyd.
Yeah, and Stacey will pick up some lead lap points here, which will do his championship no harm whatsoever. Around he goes again for Nova Motorsports. I like that paint scheme. It's very distinctive these days in this league.
Yeah, certainly. And Stacey's, I think he joined the league last season, I want to say, but he's really shown some flashes of quite excellent pace. So it hasn't really translated to running up front all that much. He might have picked up a win earlier this season, now that I think about it. But good to see him up front, because he's definitely one of those that has been sticking with it since he started last season, and clearly has some pace that he's been building.
Yeah, he was reasonably quick when he first joined. He featured in some of the official races when we were doing strength of field, which we need to do a few more of those, I think, in order to generate some more popularity for this. I mean, it's a car now that's a bit unloved by iRacing. I think you kind of made indirect reference to that earlier. It needs the Gen 3. I think we'll be on Gen 32 by the time we actually get new cars. But oh, sorry, that was Jamie Wilson just
Just a rub.
a little. I think that this car needs a refresh now. I mean, there's not even any rain for this car yet, is there, or is there?
No, there's not, and I imagine they're waiting for the Gen 3, which I think everyone is pretty hopeful that it'll be coming with the next major update. But I will certainly mourn the loss of this car from active racing once the Gen 3 rolls along. But I'm pretty excited to drive the new car, and we certainly got a big boost in participation when this car debuted, and hopefully it's the same story with Gen 3.
Yeah, because it's a very off-putting car for most people, based on the fact that it is the most difficult car to handle on the iRacing service, which in equal measure makes it the most rewarding car to drive on the service. A lot of people get in it, do 4 races maybe, and then just throw it away again because it's too much of a challenge for them. But for the stalwarts that really stay with it, this is the one to really cut your teeth on. This gives you all the education you need for any car, really. Never worked for me, but that's because I'm stupid. For the more intelligent racers like Tyler, it really does give you dividend spadefuls, doesn't it, really, in terms of experience and skill?
Yeah, I just love driving this car. It really is. It's so satisfying to get right, and you know. Like I said, I'll definitely. It'll be a sad day when we don't get to race it anymore, but certainly will be a welcome change for a lot of people. But we got Stacey Boyd in the pits, which promotes Vince Skillback to the lead. There's been so much that's gone on; it's hard to remember what exactly set Vincent back in the first place. But it was that first lap incident fighting for the lead. So he has done well to recover here. Obviously. Once the pit stop cycle through, he probably won't be in the lead at that time, but he's done a decent recovery and had a little bit of help.
He has. I've heard of a last to first challenge before. I've never heard of a first to last to first challenge, but let's see if Vincent's got it in him to win the race after all of the shenanigans that's going on. I don't think it's reasonably... Oh, look at this for an overtake, or attempt at least. And that is Ant Woodward. On a very ailing now, Jamie Wilson. I mean, you can see the state of Jamie's car. It's who's that? Is that Tim?
I think that's Glenn Sidman, who's gone.
Yep.
Pete, I want to throw something out here that might be crazy because I have not heard anything about the strategy from this race.
Yeah, go on.
I think Simon Trendle's trying to no-stop this.
Really? Let's have a look at his time. Oh, his times are... Yeah, I can see where you're going with it. Look at his last lap time.
Look at his best lap time.
Yeah, I mean, look at his best lap time, yeah.
We showed his car not too long ago, and it looked mostly intact, which says to me...
Pretty good, yeah.
He is either having technical difficulties or he is doing a mega fuel save.
Yeah, let's have a look, see how much... Oh, he's well out of that.
Well, it's not so crazy because we saw the first pit stops from the NQR cars were on lap 6.
6, yes.
Which I think was, that's about 8 minutes into the race. I mean, it will take a heck of a save, but if anyone can do it, and I'm not driving in this race, remember, it's Simon Trendle.
Yeah, he's got 18 seconds on the first car to have pitted, and that's Nikolai Bogotyrev.
The only thing you need to remember is to take into account the pit lane time is in his calculations. Because you were not on the broadcast from Oran Park, Pete, for the TCRs.
No, I wasn't. No.
Yeah, he did exactly the same strategy, fuel save the whole race, and he crossed the line with like 2 seconds to go, and he couldn't make the last lap, so he has to be mindful of it.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I invite you to watch the broadcast from that race, from the TCR League. Just watch the end, and you will have a good laugh.
Okay, yeah, I'll have a look at that.
It's an interesting point too, because the pit stop time for what these cars need is 10 seconds, which honestly is about the time it takes to change the tires in this car. It's 8 or 9 seconds. So it clearly is not a very substantial fuel fill. But the pit lane transit time is on the order of 47 to 48 seconds. So if he can, that is a huge savings in terms of time loss. And given his car looks undamaged, it's the only thing I can really think as far as what he's attempting here.
Yeah, and I'm wondering whether Jamie Wilson's playing rear gunner for him at the moment, because that's Tony Klusterman that's right underneath the rear wing of Jamie Wilson's car.
That is a valid point, and Jamie is the only car outside of the top 3 who has not yet stopped. So certainly possible. And Jamie, he's not making life easy, and nor should he.
No,
this is a battle for position, so certainly Jamie well within his rights to put up a fight here with Tony.
Yeah, all you need to do is go around that hairpin just a little bit slower than normal, Make it look like you're going to go to the pits, and you're not going to go to the pits.
Of course, Tony is...
Commodore.
Yeah, of course, Tony is out of position because he had that incident with Jamie in turn 1.
Yep.
So he's pretty far down the order. It's Nikolai Bogatyrev, actually, who leads the charge of cars who have stopped as Tony goes deep into turn 1.
Right.
Made the right choice to go straight on there.
Yeah. So many people try and force that corner, and you just can't, can you? There's nowhere to go.
I don't know if you've been watching Bathurst 1000 practice, but there's been a whole lot of that in the first corner of folks deciding wisely to take the straight on at Hell Corner and do a little flick spin.
Yeah,
so
just loop it at Hell Corner. Yeah.
I don't think Vince is doing the same. I think he's going a little too fast here to be trying the fuel save.
Yeah, his lap times are good, aren't they? A 1:20.6 last time round. That's very competitive.
And I think Rob is similar. I think these two are just trying the overcut strategy, which Vince specifically made work quite well at Fuji. He stayed out, I think, pretty much to the end of the fuel run, and I want to say brought it back to second place behind Simon, and may have had a chance at first if things had fallen differently. So this is kind of what I was talking about at the start of the race, where the new race length has brought the overcut in as a valid strategy here, and we'll see how it plays out for Vince.
Yeah, I mean, you can see from the behavior of the car, Vincent knows 2 ways to drive, fast and crash. It's true, though. He's so quick when he's on it, and you can see that he's really on this. The car is completely in his control. There was a little bit of twitching earlier, and now he's gone to pits for his scheduled stop, and that looks like a very fast entry into the road. He's wanting this. He's wanting it.
Yeah, this is probably a bit earlier than you would expect for the full-on overcut as far as taking it to the end of the fuel run. But he's cut it past halfway, and really what he was out of position back in the pack, and if he could turn laps that were on par with the folks he was behind, then that'll put him ahead here after the pit stop. So I think that's probably what he was trying to do. It looks like he's going to slot out maybe in 7th place here, maybe 8th. So
yeah, it's yeah. We'll have to see how this pans out at the end of it all. Simon Trendle picking up lead lap points, so he's going to stay out. We think indefinitely, but at least for 3 laps, because he's going to pick up his 3 points. But
yeah, I'm looking at the times, and compared to Nikolai, Simon is running almost exactly a second a lap slower. So as it stands, I think that if we look at the amount of time left, it's about 1 and 20-second lap. If he can maintain that pace difference, that'll hold till the end. But it will be very, very close. And, it will take a lot of fuel saving. But Simon is savvy. I'm pretty sure he coded his own strategy software. So he certainly trusts it and knows as far as what will get him to the end. I will say, with the pace he's running, Rob Venn is going to overtake him for the lead here soon if he doesn't have to pit.
Yeah, true. He's only 2.6 seconds behind and closing. Well, he wasn't closing really on the last lap. He was about the same pace, to be honest. So Simon's holding his own at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like Simon kind of quicker through the twisty bits, which is what you'd expect on a fuel save.
Yeah.
When you're doing the lift and coast, you'll sacrifice some time at the end of the straights, but you'll make up through it by carrying speed through the twisty section. So yeah, I think Rob's still gonna be able to close this down, but we'll see here. I don't know when he's due in for stops. I think he can probably last until maybe 5-6 minutes from now. So.
Well, that's not going to be that far from the end of the race when you think about it, because there's only like, what's that, 13 minutes left? It's a 40-minute race.
Yep.
Or 12 and a half minutes now, actually. It ticks away quite quickly. So Simon Trendle maybe thinks he's got a Michael Taliancic powered car. If you can, anybody that remembers that era of V8s. Stephen Phillips says he got a 40-second pit lane penalty and decided to park it. Just one of those days. What did you get a 40-second for? Is that speeding?
Yeah, probably speeding on entry. Yeah. We do have a battle shaping up here, and Sam has just preempted my thought. This is for provisional second place and the battle to see who will try and chase down Simon. All in QR here, but Bram has been closing that gap, and Nikolai ran wide there, and Bram is going to have a real run here. Rob Woodhouse also running some pretty quick laps behind these two, so could be a 3-car battle for second or first, depending on how Simon's strategy shapes up.
Yeah. Vincent at the minute is lighting up the timing screens. He is the fastest car on track by some massive margin, actually. Oh my God. He is a whole half second faster than anybody else has even achieved, I think. Oh no, maybe not a half second, quarter of a second.
Well, and that's what you have to do to make the overcut work, which is, it's what I did at Bathurst, not to toot my own horn, but it's you have to be confident in your ability to make up the positions on fresh tires. Oh dear,
Bram, that's a bit too close. And
again, he's wide out of there.
Yeah.
I think he's obviously feeling the pressure. They've got to run down Simon, but I think he also sees his teammate Rob coming in the mirror as he's really sliding it around now.
It shows how little you have to do in order to melt the tires in this car. It's very, very sensitive, isn't it? That little slide into the wall was just enough, and then you overcompensate trying to control the car to keep it in a straight line for all the other corners. Vincent's connection is sketchy at best right now.
Yeah, but he has closed up to Ant Woodward here. He'll want to get this pass done as soon as possible, pretty much, to maximize the pace advantage he has.
Where's he gone? There he's back. Right, he's strobing in and out worse than I was back in the days of going full Bingham on a terrible, terrible connection.
Yeah, he's got Ant Woodward and Stacey Boyd in his sights. I think that's probably as far as he'll get up the field, just looking at the gaps there. But definitely in play for probably a top 5 once Rob pits.
Well, given he ended up right at the very back and about 6 seconds off the back, he's done well there. Hopefully he can stay out of trouble for the rest of the race. Simon Trendle, meanwhile, has a 2-second lead over Rob Venn, who has also not yet pitted. Rob Venn's times are comparative to Simon, so I don't know whether Rob also has the ability to make it to the end or not.
I would be surprised. He didn't mention anything to me when we were talking before the race, so
Right.
I'd be pretty shocked if he's pulled this one out. But he's a savvy racer, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. As Vince has a look on Ant here, that's not quite far enough to make that happen.
Yeah, that was a nice long stare. He gets a real wide swing into that last turn there. The shallow line in that Simability, NQR setup is really quite good at launching out of that hairpin corner.
Yeah, I mean, it works for Ant and Tony. We saw it was different for Rob Woodhouse when he was doing that. But like I said, there are so many different ways to take that corner, and as long as you can get it pointed for a late apex, you can make it work. So it's clearly, however they're doing it is working for them.
Bram piling the pressure onto Nikolai right now,
and they'll both know that the more they fight, the less likely they are to catch Simon. So
you see Bob in the background.
Yeah, I think all three of them had to lay down some tire tracks on the exit of that corner there.
Oh dear! I could imagine Bob's face just going with the shake of that car. Here we go, Vincent down the inside.
Oh, it was Ant. I thought it was Vincent making a mistake, but it was Ant.
Yeah. I think it was a bit of both. I think I told Vincent sideways in the corner, but I think Ant overshot it as well.
Oh, come on now, Ant.
All right, here we go as well. It's all happening right now.
Rob has been into the pits, by the way. So he's not fuel saving. Yeah.
No. So that does mean that Simon Trendle has a 10-second lead over Nikolai Bogotyrev. With how many minutes to go in this race? 7?
Yeah, that's at the rate they're both going. If Simon doesn't have to pit, that's not enough for Nikolai.
No, it's not. And Nikolai's under pressure from Bram Dubois and has been for quite a while now. So I don't know what sort of pressure that puts on Nikolai, but can you imagine Nikolai getting a second place in a race? That's immense. And his first time back with us. That's great.
I believe he did race at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, he's been back for a few runs.
Second time back, but still, yeah, as you said, that's still quite a result if he can make this stick. But his teammates are certainly not going to make it easy for him.
No, look at the behaviour of Bram's car. He's totally on it like a car bonnet. Pardon the pun. And then Bob Woodhouse in the background. Looks like he's, to quote a Jamie Wilson phrase, wrestling an octopus with that thing because it's all over the place. On every corner exit, it's trying to kill him. It's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised Rob hasn't been able to close that gap anymore, especially with how these two have been fighting. His tires are the freshest of the three. So, he pitted one lap earlier than Bram, but even still, you'd expect him to be able to. Whoa, gosh!
Oh, that was so close. You couldn't get a rizzle of paper between Bram's left rear and those tires there.
I mean, it's how to be quick around a street course, but at the same time, like, it looks terrifying.
Yeah, it really does. Here is your race leader, folks. This is Simon Trendle, 7.5 seconds or more in the lead. He's not really bothered about giving time up because there's only... it's a bit like when we were on Top Gear and James May was driving the Bugatti Veyron at 249 miles an hour or whatever it was. And he said, at this rate, my tyres are going to disintegrate in 5 minutes, but that's fine because I'll run out of fuel in 3.
Yes.
Or whatever the numbers were. It was the funniest thing I've heard in years.
Yeah, we've got a battle here between Rob Venn and Tony Klusterman. Rob on much, much fresher tires. Tony was one of the first ones to pit, I believe, on lap 6.
Lap 6 and lap 24
and Rob
for
pit
Rob.
on lap 24. So really can't get...
He's going to have a good cut back here and launch out the corner. Tony's brilliant out of that hairpin, though.
Yeah, and it's surprising, especially because he that's the first thing to go in this car once your tires get old is slow corner power down. That's what you lose the first, and Tony has managed to keep it up here and keep Rob behind him, which is impressive.
Yeah, and Tony sold him a puppy on the straight as well because he went left and then jinked to the right side of the track, and Rob was like, "What?" A bit like the hard of hearing, What did you just do? Yeah, lost the toe just for enough to keep him behind. So let's see what happens throughout the rest of this lap.
Yeah, just eyeing lap times at the front. Simon did a 22.0. Nikolai did a 28. And Bram did a 26. So they're closing, but with 3 minutes to go and a 6-second gap, I think they're about 3 laps short.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, this has been a wonderful strategy play from Simon Trendle. One that you might have tried or not.
If I had done some practice, I might have thought about it. My results have been very dependent on how much practice I do this season, which is to say, whether I do none or do a little bit. So, but certainly, yeah, I think, it's the people that think about it are thinking about it when they're practicing, and Simon obviously thinks about it. So,
well, it's definitely about to work for him. His last lap was another one. Well, let's call that a 1:22. The car behind was doing a 1:20.8, which is the lead car in this little pair, which is Nikolai.
Yeah, I think these two know at this point they're not fighting for a win unless Simon runs out of fuel, in which case they'll get it anyway. So it's all focused on this battle for second here, as I think we're going to get 2 more, which will help them.
Yeah, it will.
But surely it's not close enough that Simon won't have factored for that. I would hope. I hope I'm not jinxing him there, but
his last lap was ever so slightly slower than the previous time out, and Nikolai was ever so slightly faster. And the gap is now down to 4.8 seconds. No, it's not. It's down to 4.2 seconds.
Yeah, the problem is Nikolai needs 2 seconds a lap, and he's got a 1.5 seconds a lap. So
yeah, he's going to be like a lap and a half short, isn't he? Really, or 2 laps short? Yeah.
Well,
again, this is all assuming Simon is good to go on fuel. So
yeah. Sorry, Sam.
Yeah, our race strategist said 30 laps, and
okay. That's going to be right on it then.
Yeah, it's going to be right on it. So I suppose Simon should be all right. He has really slowed down the last lap though. So
yes. Yeah, his sector times well, his sector 2 is pretty good.
Well, and knowing Simon, that'll be him seeing what the gap is and knowing he can afford to lift a little more.
Yeah, Bram doing a whole load of wheel spin. That's just gonna annoy him. Oh, there we go, white flag flying.
Yeah, and with that sliding around, Simon went slower, but Nikolai went even slower. So yeah, I think barring a sputter, Simon should have this pretty well in hand, and the fight remains for second here.
But they are in view. Great camera work, Sam. They are in view. That'll tempt them, if nothing else.
Yeah, and actually, Bram's really fallen off here.
Yeah, he's that little indiscretion with the rear tires earlier, and it was almost nothing. Just proves how sensitive these cars to overheating tires. And you're right, he's dropped right off the back of Nikolai. I don't know whether Nikolai will get a bit overly tempted to gun it, but that's a big gap now, really, isn't it, for a V8?
Yeah, the gap it is now is well, maybe he'll run out.
Yeah, let's hope he's got a hole in the fuel tank. Yeah.
Yep.
The only way that's going to happen now as Simon Trendle approaches this last painful hairpin turn here at Long Beach and makes his way down shoreline. But there are your top 4 cars, folks, in order. Simon Trendle takes the win.
He's got enough juice left to flash the headlights.
Yeah.
He needs to make it back to the pits or he's disqualified.
Can you imagine if that was a rule?
Oh, Rob and Tony still going at it here.
Yeah.
One more corner to go for them.
I wonder if Rob's got anything for him on that last hairpin. He hasn't done the last few laps. That wider line in there just means that Tony can get on the gas a little bit earlier, and he's away.
Yeah, Rob really tried to set up the corner there, but I think Tony was wise to it and didn't compromise anything. So, yeah, good racing though.
Yeah, very good.
And there is Simon doing his victory sitting.
Victory out of fuel.
Yes.
It's not a nice burnout, I have to say.
Yeah.
Pretty disappointing.
The victory wait for the tow truck.
Oh dear, funny stuff.
We will show the other Chimera car.
Yeah, that looks a little bit more second-hand. Although Jamie Wilson also did not pit, so he's managed to get around without having to box the car for fuel or tyres. Although he could have done with a new front end, right front wing, and a bonnet.
Yeah, I hope Jamie will forgive me for saying this, but a bit less impressive than his teammate.
Yeah. And here's the Glenn Sidman beach buggy with one bogey wheel.
It looks wrong.
Yeah,
right
we
from
saw
the
him
rear.
go into the tire barriers at turn 7, and good on Glenn though for continuing on. I mean, he's well out of this race, but
bit of reverse. Glenn.
I think the car is not fully repaired because he had, I think, 2 incidents, and the first one probably got his fast repair, and then the second one is probably the one that caused this and not get fully repaired. But yeah, good on him to finish the race, stay out of the way, and yeah, it's good. He's gonna finish in the pits, but anyway, it's good enough as long as you cross the line. It's good.
Absolutely. Good to see people finishing the full race.
He did better than his teammate. He's going further.
Even into Fiona Siddons on the chat. She says hello to us all. And that's Jamie Wilson out of fuel, but still trying to get back to the pits because that is the Team Chimera way.
It's the best way.
It is the best way. He's actually out of.
Yeah, I think he's.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna make it, but
he's all done. He is all done. Right. Okay. So, who are we waiting for at the minute?
It's over.
Oh, it is over, isn't it? Yeah.
We're waiting for you to go through the results.
Oh, okay then. Let's do that because that sounds cool. Right, your winner of the second race this evening was Simon Trendle for Team Chimera. Second, in a brilliant strategic run and not that far behind in the end, was Nikolai Bogatyrev for Simability. Bram Dubois finished bottom step of the podium for NQR Europe, but most importantly ahead of both his teammates. The first of which was Bob Woodhouse in 4th place. Stacey Boyd finished 5th for Nova Motorsports. Vincent Skilbeck finished 6th for Wheelie Bins Mayhem Republic. And then Ant Woodward finished 7th for NQR Europe. David Burns finished in 8th, with 9th being Tony Klusterman from Never Quit Racing North America. Rob Venn finished in 10th place for BSTV Esports. Rich Jameson. I do that all the time, you know. Rich Jameson finished in 11th, with Never Quit Racing's North America Greg Carr in 12th place. Jamie Wilson finished 13th for Team Chimera, but he stopped it. Glenn Sidman, we saw him crossing the line there in 14th in the pit lane for Simability, and then Stephen Phillips 15th for Dash Hound Racing. And that was the full grid. Stephen Phillips was classified 19th after getting himself a penalty and deciding he didn't want to continue, which is fair enough. All right, let me go and find out where on earth the original results were. There they are. Got them. Right, it's fine. No worries there. Let's see who is waiting for us, Tyler, in the booth. There's quite a few actually dropping in at the moment. Any standout moments for you though before we start interviewing people, Tyler?
It was quite the contradiction, race 2 to race 1. Quite a clean race 1 and a chaotic race 2, which does happen sometimes. But yeah, I mean, standout is obviously the strategy from Simon, and that was We picked up on it pretty early there, but it was impressive nonetheless.
I have to say, we didn't. You did. I was none the wiser for the whole thing until you pointed out how slow he was going. But yes, very well identified. And let's start with the interviews. Unless Sam, camera wise, there was a lot going on at the start of that second race. Anything that stands out for you in terms of a standout moment for tonight's races?
Apart from Simon's strategy, Vincent's recovery, finishing fifth after being dead
Yeah.
last on the first lap, it's pretty good recovery.
That's a good call, actually. Yeah, he's done well there. Did he finish fifth or sixth?
Sixth.
Sixth. Yeah.
Did I say
Okay.
fifth?
I don't know. That's why I was just confirming what that was.
Well, by my accent, I'm not English.
Really? Really? You speak
Yeah,
English
I
better
know
than
I'm
me
pretty
and Tyler.
good, but
Yeah.
I'm trying. So excuse me if I
Right.
make a mistake doing those
No,
numbers.
Let's start our interview round with a stalwart from all of our V8ESC seasons, Tony Clisterman. Good evening.
Good evening, Pete. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I was drafted in last moment from the pub. I should point out because Clyde had some technical issues. So you absolutely bossed the first race. You couldn't have done any better. You had Bob Woodhouse tracking you nearly the entire race, putting quite a lot of pressure on you, to be honest. And then Simon Trendle kind of made the best opportunity of a Bob Woodhouse mistake, but didn't get near enough to you to make any threats. You've got Long Beach down to a T, really, haven't you? When you're allowed to, I should caveat that, because you were also the fastest car in the practice session.
Yeah, I sort of ran out of talent or forgot what I was doing in the second race. I don't know what happened there. I made the same mistake in turn one 3 times, and that was pretty embarrassing. Although the third time, I actually managed to not hit the wall, so I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, well, learning in the face of adversity. Then
Yeah.
we had to obviously watch what happened at that particular incident in race two a few times because there was multiple things going on. There was multiple accidents actually at that same point in time. It'll make for an interesting revisit from you for the broadcast. A very dynamic second race, and you managed to recover it back to 9th place. It was yeah. I suppose turn one is, as we said during the broadcast, it is the place to make an overtake. It's also the place to chuck away your race, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, Tyler, I think worded it best in the fact that it's the turn where you make or break your race. In race one, of course, you were imperious. There was no mistakes at all. You kept it underneath you and it showed your absolute champion talent that you've got, and hence the multiple championships you've won. Race two, once you've done it on a street course into the wall, it's very, very hard to get it back, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very easy to get wheel damage and not get a black flag here. So the car was drivable, but just barely, and that's why I pitted so early and just tried to make it to the end after all of that.
Yeah, and Tyler called out towards the end there that the car approaching you was Rob Venn on massively newer tyres. But your overall talent won out. You kept him behind. You're going to have to explain something to me, and maybe Tyler can explain it in the background as well. Everybody else was taking much wider sweeping lines into the hairpin. Yours was a very shallow line in, but you seem to manage to get huge amounts of drive off the corner. And I think it absolutely foxed so many people, including me. So try and explain that to me because I don't have a clue.
That is the line I've taken at Long Beach for many, many, many years. And I know that if you can get straight fairly quick out of that corner, if you can hold 0.3 or 0.4 out of the corner, you can pretty much make it to turn one. And that corner is basically make or break whether or not somebody gets past you.
If you listen very carefully, you can actually hear Tyler making notes.
I'm pretty sure I said something right along those lines during the broadcast feed.
I'm only winding you up. I'm just winding you up. No, that's very, very helpful for everybody, really, because there's quite a lot of people taking a much more broad line. We'll probably see it on the slow motion replay, maybe, although this isn't indicative of a normal lap because you're massively in traffic. But lots of people take a hugely wide line and cut it back, thinking they're going to get a big drive off the corner, but it just seems to be nullified by the I don't know, the sharpness of the corner. I don't know.
There may be one other thing that I don't know what gear ratios everyone else was running, but I was running a 1.00 gear, and I don't mind saying that because we're not going to be back at Long Beach in this car again. But that may have prevented some wheel spin and provided some extra grip.
Right. Okay. So, and by that sentence, you must be confident that Gen 3s are imminent.
I've been confident for 12 months, and I've been disappointed for 12 months. So we'll
we did
see.
discuss it during the broadcast, and I said we're more likely to get Gen 32, but I really do hope there is a new.
Let's hope it's an early Christmas.
Well, yeah, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Sometime after the 4th of December, into a new car and a new pool of people interested in it and more buoyant numbers, but we'll have to wait and see. Right, where do we go next in this car? We go to Motorland Aragon, and we're on an endurance race by the look of things. Have you raced at Aragon before?
I believe I have, but I
Right.
could not tell you what the track is like at all. So it's not very memorable for me.
No, that's very good. I like it when that happens. Here we go. Here's your overrun at turn 1, and then Jamie just helping you around the corner a little bit, and then Jamie getting helped around as well. That's nice, isn't it? Everybody helping everybody else. But yeah, stuff like that happens in racing. That's part of the reason that we watch it, to be honest. But yes, Aragon next time out. We wish you all the best for that. Anybody you want to have a shout out to before we let you go?
The guys on the team, obviously everybody works very well together during the week, and you guys for doing the broadcast, Welding and Simability for sponsoring the league. It's great to see him out and try and make all the laps as well. So that was good, and just look forward to having some increased numbers when the new car comes along.
Yeah, absolutely, and well said. In that case, we will wait for Aragon to see you next in this car on a BSTV broadcast. Tony Klusterman, everybody. Oh, he ejected himself. I didn't know what was happening there. That was fundamentally new to me, Tyler. I've just been cheated from a mouse click. It's one of those strange things. Into the booth for your interview pleasure, because I know you'll want to speak all things tactics with Simon. Is Simon Trendle?
Simon Trendle, the man who made the second race boring. How's it going?
It wasn't boring for me watching those guys catch me at the second lap, knowing that I couldn't afford to make a mistake. Yeah.
No, certainly it was genuinely a very exciting race once we figured out what you were doing and why you were seemingly slow without damage. But I guess the first question is, how did you survive the chaos from the first few laps there? That was pretty hectic.
It was, and I genuinely don't know myself. Jamie was obviously ahead and shouting out if anything was going on, but yeah, I was just far enough back from any of it to be able to sort of see that something was going on in front and lift, and then just give myself more time. So yeah, the strategy there was helping me navigate it, I think.
Yeah, perhaps the traditional Chimera start benefited you there with.
No, that start was intentional because I didn't want to use any fuel to launch the car. So
okay,
that was actually intentional for once.
That's a new excuse, but we'll take it. Well, I guess race. We'll talk race 1 first, but you seem to be pretty on a pretty similar pace to the two NQR cars ahead of you. A couple mistakes towards the end kind of took you out of it. But do you think if you had anything for either of them in the last few laps, or was that just a hope that they make a mistake?
You can't pass around Long Beach really, not without a significant tyre delta or something else or a mistake. So as long as they didn't make mistakes, I was just stuck behind them. So I was being boring in the first race as well because I was just saving the tyres and trying not to cook them, so that if at the end of the race they had ruined them. But it's only a 20-minute race, so there's only so much damage you can do to them. And then yeah, Rob, I do feel bad for him, but he just made that one mistake, and that was enough to give me the pass. And by that point, it was too late to go after Tony. So yeah, he did well. Apart from the first half of the race where he was just making constant mistakes. But yeah, once he'd sorted those out, he was away.
Yeah, and race 2, I guess from your comment about the start, I was going to ask when you started saving, but I imagine you had a plan from the get-go.
Oh yeah, I had the number to hit from lap 1, and I was hitting it every lap as best I could. 2.22 down from 2.65. So yeah,
that's one hell of a fuel save.
That's a big lift.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's really tricky as well because you lift off so early that you can brake so much later. But the problem is that shortens the braking zone, so I'm having to go down 6 gears or 5 gears into turn 1 in 2/3 of the distance, and I'm desperately trying to do it quickly but not snatch the diff on the way down. Yeah, that was hair raising, and then I didn't know how it was playing out until everyone started pitting, and then I saw how far they were behind me, and I could see how fast they were catching me as well, and it was just going to be enough, I think. And I thought I knew that, but the last couple of laps, seeing them, they could see me, so that's enough to like G you up and make you go after someone. And I could see them catching me. It's just obviously a case of, well, that's going to pressure me and make mistakes. So yeah, I was just saving a little bit extra so that on the last lap I could go a little bit faster just in case they were there. So yeah, I coughed just at the line. That's enough.
Yeah, certainly. I think you were aided a little by some inter NQR battles. I know Bram was putting some pressure on Nikolai, which definitely helped there. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about as far as the short braking zones when you're fuel saving, especially with a big one. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean you were counting on that, to be honest. I mean, the maths beforehand said that going flat out, if you had clear air, was about 4, 5, 6 seconds faster than saving the fuel. But yeah, it's tough. And
yeah. Well, Aragon up next. Any thoughts? I imagine you hate it as you do every other track we go to.
I don't mind Aragon. Did all right there last time. It's not a brilliant track, but I don't hate it. There's tracks I hate more. Road Atlantic being one.
Oh, fair enough. Well, we'll see you there next time. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we drop you?
Yeah. Tony for his winning race 1. I think it's been a while since he's won one, isn't it? So yeah, congrats to him. Everyone who's turned up, well, it's a small field obviously, but still fun. You guys for the broadcast, all my fans obviously, because I have loads of them clearly. And Jamie for moral support. There we go.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Simon, and congrats on your race 2 win.
Thank you.
Very cool. Well done. Right, who shall I bring in next? Let's have a look at Bob Woodhouse. Let's go and find him. So I've got to press all the right buttons. Button pressing at this time of night is it's a challenge at the best of times. Bob Woodhouse, good evening.
Good evening, guys.
Evening. So race 1, you had second place all bagged up with a little tiny bow on it and a little rosette, and then found a bit of tyres.
Yeah, I got a little bit overexcited. Trying to overtake Tony. And, trying to put some pressure on the last lap.
I mean,
overcooked it. But yeah, it's all for a bit of entertainment for you guys, really.
Well, we got it. It was good fun until we were like, ooh. But yeah, it's good to see people racing their own teammates, because often in other leagues you see, team orders or people too hesitant to try and race with their own teammates. Not the case in V8ESC. We often see, we used to see XVR cars, and now we're seeing NQR cars racing one another, and it's the healthy way to go. It didn't quite work out for you in that one. Well, you still came third.
I mean,
Let's celebrate third place, right? Because this is
the way that I see it is, even though I was unlucky and losing the place, the way that I hit the barrier with the back end, that could have spun me round and put the front end in. I could have been dead stopped. I might have to have reversed, and I could have been 5th, 6th, 7th. So, it was bad luck, but at the same time, I still got away with it. To still get a podium and do that.
No, absolutely. And then in the second race, you made your way forward from 8th place.
Yeah.
You finished in 4th. We saw you in the background behind, chasing down Bram and Nikolai a few times, wrestling the back end of the car out of corners. Did it turn into a bit of a monster to you?
I think it's just me over driving, because I don't know if you caught it on the broadcast, but on my the lap that I decided to pit at the end of like the back straight before that little complex, I went down one too many gears, locked up the rear, and had a spin and give up about 4 seconds or so to and because I had about 3 or so seconds on Stacy. I then spun. Stacy got by me, and I was slow getting going. So I was like, right, I'm going to pit now.
I'm not sure we did catch that live, but it does explain a lot, because that would have put you ahead of Nikolai then.
I don't know. I think it possibly. I mean, he pitted before me, and he was in front of me at the time. So I think I'd have been on his bumper if that hadn't have happened.
Yeah.
But maybe some. It's all if buts and maybes. I could have then crashed trying to hunt Simon down. So it's just one of those things. One of those things.
A very pragmatic way to view that, to be perfectly honest. And lots of respect for you for that. We go to Aragon next time round. It's an endurance race. How did you go at Aragon, or do you not remember it?
No. I quite like Aragon. It's one of the MotoGP tracks, and we're doing it without the hairpin this time, I believe.
And with 4 wheels. And with 4 wheels.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's going to be my first time driving this layout, but I'm quite looking forward to it.
Excellent stuff. Anybody you want to shout out to before we let you go and celebrate your 3rd place and your 4th place tonight? Quite a successful night's racing, to be fair.
Yeah, Tony for an awesome drive again, and taking the win in race 1. Nikolai and Bram for their performance in race 2. They were really, really good. Nikolai sends his regards. He's not able to jump through. He's got to shoot off. But big shout out to him. He drove a really good race tonight. All the NQR Simability guys, and you guys in the booth, and everyone that's turning up, that's making these events what they are.
Awesome stuff. In that case, we will look forward to seeing you next time, at Aragon. Bob Woodhouse, everybody.
All the best, guys. Bye bye.
Cool. Right. Next up, who should we bring in? Bram Dubois. Would you like to speak to Bram, Tyler?
Sure.
Why not? Bram Dubois, good evening.
Good evening, guys.
How's it going, Bram? Solid. Excuse me. Sorry, my push to talk button was slipping. A solid performance today. A podium in race 2. Race 1 was a little more chaotic for you, if I remember correctly. Where did you end up? I don't have it in front of me.
8th. Well.
Yeah. So
I hit a wall and destroyed my right front a bit, and then it was like the steering wheel was half working. It's like the first 40 degrees or something worked, but then it just stopped.
Yeah, fortunately, I don't think you were the only one who hit a wall today, so I don't think you need to worry about that. Certainly, yeah, I think race 1 was surprisingly calm, but race 2, I think just about everyone got in the wall at one point or another, so nothing really to be ashamed of there. But let's talk race 2. A solid run there. How much were you battling Nikolai versus wanting to chase down Simon?
Every time I got close to Nikolai, it's hard to put your nose somewhere. I thought maybe between the corner before the backstretch, that was my place I could get it, but otherwise it's just hoping they make a mistake. But Nikolai's been doing it too long to to make those mistakes, or to make the big mistakes. And then we just saw, suddenly I saw Simon's like 14 seconds ahead. And I was, okay, hasn't he pit? And he was so far behind, because no way he got there with the undercut. And it's like I saw every time closing in like a second. It's like, damn, he's going to try it. And then every time you saw him get close, and I was like, maybe he will run out, you know, maybe just pushed a bit too much, just a bit too much fuel. I think both me and Nikolai on the last corner were like spinning our rear tires, just hoping Simon would probably run out before the straight to still catch him, but oh well.
Yeah, that's
champion.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing we were saying in the booth here. It was it got to the point where you could do the math with the gaps, and it was I hope he runs out. But no, I mean honestly, you guys were I think all the NQR cars showed pretty tremendous pace all night. You had a pretty strong qualifying run. I think you were towards. You might have led the practice session as well. So, is it just a track that suits you? Is it a track that suits the team? Is it just one you just like?
I think you've been doing quite some races in the SOF here. So Kenzie was there as well. So sad Alex couldn't make it, because I think he would have been fast here as well. But in general, I like street courses. I can see where the off tracks are because it's a wall. So it's good for my instant points. I was hoping Simon would run out, and then it was like, maybe I could have gotten in front of Nikolai by also undercutting together with him, but yeah, happy with the third place, so finished ahead of Bob.
Yeah, you did. Well, it's Aragon up next for an endurance round. I know we've been there in the league before. How do you like your chances?
Well, I like it that the sharp hairpin is gone, because I hated that corner. So I hope the sweeping one is good. I just still want to mention, I never thought Greg would stick there in lap 1, turn 1. I thought he was going to collect everyone.
We did too.
So it's gonna be entertaining to rewatch the broadcast there. Sadly, had a speeding penalty, so he would have been in the fight as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he disappeared from the camera, and we all assumed he'd run straight into the runoff, and he appeared down the road, and we were all like, "What?" So yeah, pretty good shock there. But is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
You guys, Simability, NQR, all the practice we did together, push each other, so that's good. It's showing. Very happy Nikolai is back. He's running very strong, so that's good. Good for Tony. I think did he win or was he second? First race. Oh, he won. See, so yeah. The old man still can do it.
Awesome. Well, congrats on your podium once again, Bram, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Good evening.
Nice guy. Right, next up into the booth, we've only got a couple more to go, is Jamie Wilson. Good evening.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Right, in the first race, 9th place. Pretty handy result, to be honest, given the company that you're running in these V8s at the moment. It was a bit of a scrap. There was a lot of crashes both in front and behind you. I don't know that you were actually involved in any in the first race, were you?
No, there were. My spider senses needed to be working. There's a few right in front of me.
Yeah.
I just had to dip around basically as fast as I could. Just about made it. So.
Yeah, it was an exciting sprint race. We mentioned that a few times throughout that race. From a viewing perspective, it was probably quite an arduous sprint race from a racing perspective. There was a lot going on at turn 1. There was a lot going on around that the fountain, and then the rest of the race seemed to be a bit more sedentary. And then race 2 happened, and on lap 2, I think it is. I'm sure you'll correct me. the whole world came apart. It
Yes.
started with Tony, and it ended, I think, with Rob Van. I'm not really sure. Everybody kind of stacked up. I think you helped Tony to get round the corner, and then someone helped you round the corner. And after that, your car looked like it had been through a winter.
Yeah, no, it was actually a few independent things at the same time. So Tony outbroke himself into turn 1 and just nosed into the wall. I completely independently of that did the same thing. But I had less wall to deal with a Tony in front of it. So
yeah.
So yeah, I just basically. It wasn't even like I was distracted by him, and that's why I made the mistake. I made the same mistake at the same instant.
Right. Okay.
And there was at that point, you're locking the rears up, you're just hanging on to it. If Tony's car wasn't there, I might have maybe scraped the wall just a skosh, maybe. Don't know.
Yeah.
Hard to tell, but yeah, I just ran out of options, ran out of talent there at that point. It's a tradition for me to balls it up on lap 2. I've done it in CIS, done it in TCR, done it in everything. So that's my signature move. And then after that, I figured, well, Simon's strategy obviously is well known to everyone now, but it wasn't then. And we'd been talking about it, and I was like, I'm starting at the front. That didn't last long, did it? And that's really annoying as well, because I had normally, if I get a rubbish start, and you'll be familiar with this, having watched all of them, it's because I've just given it too much beans, and then you get in the wheel spin loop of doom, and then that's it. In this case, I just blinked or something hard enough to move my foot slightly somehow through butterfly effect or something, and I ever so slightly dipped the revs slightly. I recovered it instantly, but it just got me off the line slightly compromised, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, Tyler may have made commentary towards that.
Yes,
Tyler, about
fair enough.
Chimera start.
Well, I did wonder if you were going to use the same excuse as Simon, which is that you were fuel saving right from the start. So.
Well, no, this is the thing. So I wasn't going to. I originally was going to go flat out because I was going to be, up and in the thick of it. So, and I thought it's going to be dangerous if I fuel save like that, because it's going to be nuts the amount I need to save. So I didn't. And then I had that on lap 2, and it was at the back, and I was like, I'll start now. It's only a lap and a bit in. And Simon had to hit a ridiculous number. I had to hit a redonkulous number. I was, you probably, I don't know if you went on board with me at any point, but you'd wonder if your sound was still working. So.
You probably clutching in engine off, were you?
Not. You don't need to do the clutch thing, but as you go round the kink before turn 1, Simon's lift point was basically as the road straightens up. Mine was in Fontana, so. So yeah, no, I did bloody manage it though. I only did that just to entertain myself more than anything, because I knew I was going to be at the back, and I figured, hey, I'm just going to be driving around for 40 minutes, on my Todd, bored out of my mind. I may as well do something interesting for me and just see if I can manage to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did, and it was quite funny having people catch me, not realise what I was doing, go when I sort of lifted off, then got used to it, but they didn't manage to pass straight away. They then got used to it, and then when they did pass me, they didn't know how to drive normally again, so they went off.
Oh dear. Well, it was the strangest shaped car on the track tonight, because it had been. It was a bit like, you remember that advert for the Peugeot 305 or whatever it was, where they drove it into walls several times. It started off.
I'm not that old, Pete. Jesus Christ.
Yes, you are. You're not that much younger than me, I don't think. But yeah, you reshaped your car significantly. It seems to work for you some way.
You know how you get a typical saloon car and they do a coupe version? Imagine they made that same adjustment, but at the front.
That was spectacular. And Aragon's our next destination. I think you like that track, don't you?
I do like that track.
Yeah.
I'm probably among a very small group. It's a bit sad that it's the layout without the slightly daft last corner, because I quite thought that last complex.
Yeah,
because it's an opportunity to pass. Or at least, close up, or there's an opportunity for differences between drivers there. the layout that we are going to run is a like super fast sweeper, which is probably more interesting to drive than it is to race. So
Okay.
we'll see how that goes. But the rest of the track's really good. So
All right.
you
Okay.
know, 95% of it I'll enjoy.
Yeah. Anybody you want to have a shout out to before we let you go? Tony for getting
Tony for being a cushion.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
So yeah, is it machine washable? We'll never know. Simon for coming up with the strategy, which he came up with after Oran Park in TCRs, which you won't have seen, but
No,
Sam will remember that when he
Sam's
almost
already told me to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, he brought it up in the broadcast.
yeah. So Simon basically ran that strategy by accident at Oran Park, and then buggered himself up by doing an extra lap up before he'd realised that was going to bugger him up. And so, and on that night, he was like, "I wonder if that'll work at Long Beach in the V8s." And so he's been concocting that for a while.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, it gave me something interesting to do for a bit. So yeah, yeah. Thanks to you guys for doing everything you do. As always, and Tyler for stepping in the booth. Metaphorically, you can't step on anything right now, but
No, it's not without hurting me. But anyway. But yeah, brilliant racing tonight. Very entertaining. Probably the most entertaining shaped car we've seen all night.
I get that all the time. Not about the car though.
We will look forward to seeing you at Aragon. Well, on Wednesday actually, in the TCRs. Jamie Wilson, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Cool. And then last for both of our interviewing pleasure, Tyler, we'll double team Vincent because he's only just got out of bed. Vincent Skilbeck, good evening.
Afternoon.
Morning, afternoon. You're not in the afternoon. There's no way you're in the afternoon. Right, okay. So, race 1 happened, and there was a crash. And you ended up not finishing anywhere near where you wanted to, but Tyler identified very, very quickly that you were in the reverse pole position, and we did wonder whether you would stay there. I don't know whether it was voluntary or not, but you did stay in 10th place and got yourself a lovely pole position for race 2. Did you want to stay there, or were you still trying to gun yourself up the table?
Initially, I was trying to get back up to speed, trying to catch the pack. But yeah, then I realised I was sitting P10. And yeah, I thought, well, if I'm P10, I'll try keep it as much as I can. Boys behind me were close to me at the start, but then I started to pull away once the tyres got up. So I was pretty good. And I was closing the gap down to Jamie, but if I had actually caught Jamie, I would have just backed off and stayed there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I may have inadvertently cursed you because I was talking about how fast you were and how stable the car was underneath you, and then bad things happened, Tyler, didn't they? That as soon as I'd said that, it was just it was almost like the parting of the Red Sea.
Yeah, you have a habit of doing that.
Yeah. I should just keep my mouth shut, really, shouldn't I? And then race 2, you set off with all the hopes of Australia on your shoulders. From pole position, it all looked brilliant for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corners, and then you and Nikolai came together. He's already sent you a message. I don't know whether you've seen it in the.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm still a bit missed about it.
Yeah, and I said to Tyler, I've heard of a last to first challenge before. That's fairly standard. I've never heard of a first to last to first challenge. But did Tyler think that you were able to do it? And I think we both thought probably not. Because you were a good 8 seconds beyond the back of the pack at one point. And I think it's a miracle that you've got back to 6th, to be honest. That's a very impressive drive.
Yeah, after an incident, I drove pretty hard for the 2 laps after that, because I was angry as everything.
Angry with
then
the
I calmed
world.
myself, and then I calmed myself down a bit. Tried to run long, because there was no point hitting early. I was that far back. Run into Simon and noticed it was fuel saving, so I was like, that's an interesting strategy. Didn't know if it's gonna work, but obviously it did pretty well. But yeah, and then I pitted and got fast, which I was very happy about. So I got that. And yeah, tried to drive hard back as far as I could get. I knew I had the pace underneath me. I've been kind of practicing all week, but it's only been the last couple of days that I've been able to get 19s and 20s consistently. So I was just making sure I'd stay within the 1 second or half a second of my best time. So I was happy with that.
No, that is good. I mean, Tyler, that's got to be one of the drives of the night, recovery drives of the night, hasn't it? It was an impressive feat to get back from absolute 15th and beyond the back of the whole field to getting back to 6th place.
Yeah, I mean, we were remarking that if there was a little more chaos up front, I think you would have been in with a shot of the podium. But I honestly, I think you were a little bit, I'm sure you would disagree, but a little bit fortunate in that your incident happened on the first lap where everyone else had their chaos happen afterwards. Probably helped move you up a little bit. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that you've had more than your fair share of hard luck the last few rounds.
Yeah, I don't know what I can do to change anything, or if anyone else is gonna change how they race against me. But yeah, I even said on the chat just after the incident, I don't know why I bother. But I'll keep coming back and I'll keep trying. I don't know how long I can go with being up front and then being removed from good spots and having to fight back. It just doesn't seem fun to me, so yeah, I'll see how I go.
Yeah, I can understand the sentiment. I really can. It's one that faces a lot of drivers, to be fair. I think the fact that you do come back and you are such a talented driver speaks volumes, to be honest. I think there's a championship in you, as long as you can kind of avoid all the bad luck that seems to plague you on occasions each season. You're clearly a massively talented V8 driver. You've got that car on a string on many races. We've seen you on the podiums a lot, and it's always brilliant having you race with us. Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, and I'm not going to argue with it. I think that this league would be utterly the worse for it if you were not in it. So I hope that you stay with us for as long as we run. Anybody you want to shout out to before we let you go? Possibly not Nikolai. Let's go there first.
Yeah, I was gonna say everyone in the league apart from Nikolai tonight. You guys for the broadcast, Simability for sponsoring the league again, and yeah, everyone over at Welding too.
Awesome stuff. Well, don't lose heart, and I know it's tough when things like this happen, and I do appreciate what you say. You're part of the furniture here at BSTV, and we hope that you stay part of the furniture. Vincent Skillbeck, everybody.
Yeah, catch you guys next round.
You can understand it, can't you, Tyler? Because it's fairly demoralising when you have Vincent's talent and you are sometimes removed from the position that you think you should finish in, and you probably should finish in.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's fair to say everyone who's done any sort of racing has gone through a stretch where they feel like they just keep getting taken out and it's not their fault. And I having seen firsthand several of Vince's incidents, I would struggle to say any of them are his fault. But yeah, it's tough, but he'll bounce back and hopefully he sticks with it because, like you said, the league is better for it with him in it. So yeah, I think that's the fair way to put it.
Yeah, and he's such a nice guy as well. You know, there's quite a lot of ego in racing, and Vincent's not an ego. He is just Vincent. And I think that's brilliant. He's just a nice guy, and we need nice guys in our leagues. That's what makes the community, you know. So yeah, stick with us, Vincent, please. Right, let's get on to driver of the meeting. I've got mine already. And Vincent's not going to like my choice because I'm voting for Nikolai because he got a second place in the second of tonight's races, but also because he got a seventh in the first of tonight's races. I think that Nikolai's performance tonight. I know I didn't see him in the last race, and yes, in my head, this is his first race back with us, but I think he's done remarkably well. He's held his own. He has apologised for what he sees as his own responsibility in the chat, and you know that's part of the BSTV community as well. So he's ticked 2 of my boxes tonight. He can't undo what happened, but he can address for what's happened, and he has done. And he's done very well performance-wise. So my vote for tonight goes to Nikolai Bogatyrov.
Well, I thought you might pick Nikolai, so I took the liberty of picking someone else. I think Tony deserves all the recognition in the world for getting back on top in race 1, and he had phenomenal pace all throughout. Obviously had a little brain fart in race 2, but so did everyone else. So, so my vote's going to go to Tony Klusterman.
And a great vote that is. And Sam, you've got a vote here. Where are you going to go with yours?
Jeez, you picked people I wasn't expecting to, and they totally make sense. I do agree with both. I do want to. How do you say that? To give Simon something for what he did, but in the end he got the race win.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the second pick, which is Vincent, because the recovery drive he made was just insane. Going back to 6th, I said it right after the race. I think it's pretty good. So yeah, good recovery drive.
It is. It was an excellent performance from Vincent, and yes, he's feeling a bit, you know, emotionally and morally beaten up. But as Tyler said, hopefully he'll bounce back like he always does, and be with us again, fully fighting fit at Aragon. And I hope that you're fighting fit for Aragon, Tyler, because you like your endurance races. That's tactically in your wheelhouse, isn't it?
Yeah, I do. I love the endurances. Hopefully, we'll see. If not, I'll be back in the booth at the very least. So, yeah, but hopefully I'll be on track.
Awesome stuff. In that case, folks, we will wrap up this this week of V8ESC. We will be back. I don't remember the date, so I'm going to have to go and look for the date of.
I think it's in 3 weeks.
3 weeks, is it? Right, excellent. Thank you. Let's get, because it's Aragon, isn't it? And yes, it's November 2nd. Yep. We're looking forward to that already. It's an endurance race. It's a slightly different track to what they've driven before, so that should make it a little bit more interesting, even if Jamie's not that happy, and everybody else is. So, yeah, it's. Thank you, Tyler, for joining us in the booth. I know you can't race, and it's great that you've invested your time helping us out in the booth. Thanks to you, Sam, for controlling all the cameras, and thanks to all the viewers and the racers that make this league what it is, which is a fantastic environment to be in, a great community. And I'm looking forward to 3 weeks' time already. Over to Tyler for his thanks, and stay safe, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks, Pete, for jumping on last minute here and helping us out. I hate to take you away from the pub, but yeah, thanks to Simability. Thanks to all the drivers who turn up. I know there's been some murmurs about low numbers, but I think the group we have is excellent, and it's great to see him keep turning up. And yeah, thanks to Sam for running the show.
Well, thanks, guys. Especially Pete. You can have another beer if you want.
Yay!
You're definitely allowed to. And yeah, we'll see you in 3 weeks for next race. See you.